For me, sustainability, which has evolved over the years from our earliest efforts in the industry to conserve energy, to the point today where sustainability is the coming together of energy-saving practices to reduce operating costs, increase tenant comfort, with actions that are taken to reduce emissions, reduce consumption for the benefit of the planet. More than ever, our customers, our stakeholders, expect us in the real estate industry to do the right thing around sustainability. It is no longer optional to pursue good practices of sustainability. It is expected, it is required. Our stakeholders expect us to take actions that will reduce greenhouse gas emissions, that will reduce consumption of non-renewables, all of which has been demonstrated to improve the health and well-being of the planet, while at the same time delivering a level of comfort to the occupants of the building, delivering a level of climate control, individualized climate and lighting control that allows the occupants to function at the highest level of productivity. Sustainability has gone from being a nice to have to being a must have. If we had talked sustainability 15 years ago, very few of us, myself included, would have really understood what that meant. If we fast forward to 10 years ago, it was just emerging on customer, tenant requirement lists. And if we go today, it is now an absolute requirement. We see time and time again that occupants expect that buildings will be LEED certified, expect that landlords will pursue leading edge sustainability practices. It's no longer enough to merely have a waste diversion program. People need to and want to understand the cradle to cradle, not just cradle to grave, but cradle to cradle aspects of the various consumables within a property. As an industry, we're facing increasing regulation around sustainability matters. More and more municipalities in Canada are now requiring that real estate be constructed to a LEED standard, and often specifying which of the LEED standards. Silver was initially the point of entry, and now we see gold being required more and more, and many of us are choosing to build to platinum. And this is being required by municipalities. It won't be long, in my opinion, before these are provincial and potentially federal regulations. So it's necessary for us as an industry and for us as prudent asset managers on behalf of the ultimate stakeholders to lead and to ensure that our properties, which after all have lifespans of 50, 60, 70 years, that these properties are constantly being reinvested in, are constantly being operated, and the operations fine-tuned to the point where the properties exceed minimum levels that will be required by legislation, and quite possibly are leading the way in that. Trends in sustainability, I think we've already seen the trend of buildings moving to a level of certification. Certainly in the AA and AAA, LEED I think is now considered very much to be the price of admission. As we look to the future trends, I think we're seeing more and more the integration of the occupant and the occupant comfort requirements, lifestyle requirements with the overall building. And what I mean by that, and it's best exemplified by the WELL building standard, which requires significant involvement by the occupants, the design of the occupant space, construction of the occupant space, and their ongoing use of the occupant space to obtain and maintain WELL building certification for the occupant. The landlord, the building owner, building developer, has a significant role to play in WELL building certification. The building must be constructed or retrofitted to the WELL building standard. But to achieve an overall WELL building rating, including the occupants, really does require absolutely requires that the occupants participate in that. We are in a battle for talent in Canada. Every employer without fail will tell me that one of their top challenges is their ability to attract and retain top talent. Our surveys have shown us that the accommodation, the premises within which employees work, is a major driver in their engagement, in their satisfaction, and ultimately in their productivity. This realization is causing employers, and therefore by extension landlords, to focus much more on the accommodations, on more than just providing heating, air conditioning and security, but really ensuring that workplaces allow the occupants, engage the occupants, and allow them to be most productive. And occupants are expecting much more of their space than ever before. Carbon credits are an issue that the industry is tackling, as well as individual landlords, asset managers, owners, and the tenants. And when we developed and implemented our green lease, we had to, as it were, look over the horizon. A lease will have a life of 10, 15, 20 years, and anticipate legislation that we believe will be coming, will be introduced, and the market that will be introduced, an efficient market for carbon credits and for transfers of carbon credits. I anticipate that this will be a cooperative venture between the occupants and the landlord, both of whom have a stake and a role to play in that process.